I'm Aryeh Schwartz, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. August 31st was a big night in the W, as each game has so much impact. I'm here with Dani, Bar-Lavi, and Myles, Ehrlich, Winsidr staff writers, to discuss the New York Liberty taking on the Minnesota Lynx. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content at winsidr.com. Remember, downloading the episode makes our stats look better, a better listening experience, and allows us to continue doing this important work. Last plug, you want to sponsor an episode of the Winsidr Show? Email us at Email us at info@winsidr.com. All right, folks. A wild game. Liberty Lynx, important game as Liberty try and continue to grow their seeding. The Minnesota Lynx trying to hold on to that top 4 seed and maybe dethrone the Seattle Storm of that top 3 seed. New York Liberty currently at the 8th seed. Dani, talk to me here. Going into this game, what were the keys? What was your thought process with the injuries and everything?
Yeah, so to address that just head on right away, early in the afternoon yesterday, it came out from Lynx PR that Laisha Clarendon had been ruled out and Sylvia Fowles was questionable with a lower leg injury, I believe is the way it was put, and a shoulder injury, respectively. Neither ended up playing. They also lost Amir Stantis midway through the third, I think. The Lynx won this game down 3 starters, and also with Crystal Dangerfield and Natalie Achanwa both in foul trouble after only the first couple minutes. So, yeah, I mean, it was a really, really going into the game. Really, the tone in shoot around when I spoke to Rachel Bannum earlier in the day, and the tone after was just the players felt an obligation to step up. A next man up mentality, as it's usually put. This team is constructed to be 12 players deep. There's not a single player on the Lynx that doesn't, can't contribute on a given night. It was truly a full. It really was a full team effort. I think that doesn't show anywhere more clearly than in the bench scoring differential. I think that the Lynx scored 25 off the bench. The Liberty only had 6. And that really is the game right there. It was decided by less than 10. Off the bench, big shout out to Rachel Bannum and to Ariel Powers combined for 18 points. Rachel had her 8 points in 3 minutes. Not 3 minutes played, but in a 3-minute span. So it definitely was a situation where the roster didn't let themselves get defeated by the injuries and just took it as motivation.
Honestly, watching this game got me, it brought me back to older days when I could be more of a fan, right? This team has so many aspects to it. Now, don't get me started about Achanwa. I'm not a fan of that. How many games are we going to have her posting less than 10 rebounds and less than 5 points with a bunch of fouls, right? Get it. She does important things. She's a very important player for this team and
obviously still working through injury, all of that. Still wearing a leg brace out on the floor, all of that.
Yeah. I'm not ignoring any of that. And obviously, look, filling the shoes of the greatest center of all time and Sylvia Fowles.
Not easy.
It's not easy. No one's denying. I'm well aware of all of the caveats. It's just is she the right person for this team? In my opinion?
That being said, 1 rebound last night, 13 minutes played due to fouls, and a combination of fouls and the injury.
Not a great show.
It wasn't. We don't have to linger on that.
We don't have to linger on that. I think it's a fair complaint. Fine. Dantas was struggling at the time when she went down with her injury.
Mm-hmm.
A huge important player for this team. We don't need to get into that. I've beaten that like crazy just because I think her making just 1 or 2 threes a game. And recently I saw an interview with Reeve where she remarked that it was that important for Dantas to keep shooting even if she's missing because she opens up the game for the
Yeah.
rest of the players. And I think that's so important. Not having Lay there was the huge question mark in my mind,
Yeah.
right? Like, we saw what this team was before Lay joined, and now it's been a question mark of what happens if Lay goes down.
Yeah,
Like,
because
without
Lay
Clarendon,
was in a boot last night on their right leg. The tone from Reeve after the game, it didn't sound like she was feeling like Leisha was going to be ready to come back by the next one. So yeah, we're still waiting on a timetable, but
but the positive of that is Bantam looked good,
yeah,
confident, right? One turnover.
yeah,
That
five
was great.
assists. Yeah,
Yep. Jess Shepard, honestly, best game I've seen from her in a long time. Starting to look more like rookie Jess,
mm-hmm.
where, hustle down. Like, what I saw from Jess and Collier, there was one play where, like, I think, what was it? Collier drove to the paint, put up a little bit of too fast of a shot. Shep gets the rebound, puts it up, and it was tipped away or something like that. And then Collier puts it back in, or maybe it was the other way around. But that's what I was expecting and getting used to seeing. Seeing Shep finally get good minutes, obviously, staying game ready is an important aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
But just a great showing from her. Bridget Carlton, also, by the way, shout out to Bridget Carlton, who visited the JCC in St. Louis Park, where my name is in the rafters for, not actually, but it's on a bunch of trophies there for my prowess as an intramural basketball player and coach. But just, shameless plug for me.
Awesome.
But what I liked about this Lynx team is what I saw was a gutsy, fearless performance. They're gonna crawl, scrape, bite, do whatever it takes to pull out the victory, and that's important. And we saw it from role players. And seeing Aerial Powers come back and play that, like, what was the biggest positive from the Lynx for the Lynx from that game in your mind?
I mean, to shift gears a little bit and talk about the starting unit, I tweeted this a bit, so this is a recycled take to be transparent, but I was really encouraged by what I saw from K-Mac last night. She had 25 points. She just looked incredibly confident. She was cutting to the basket really aggressively. She's actually, I was looking at her synergy stats a little bit earlier, and she's towards the top of the league in cuts. In terms of offensive efficiency. And yeah, she was converting those consistently, really just like not settling for the three, but still taking them and making them. And yeah, I was just, it was very clear to me that K-Mac felt that she needed to lead on the offensive end. And also she did great work on defense and grabbed 9 rebounds and all of that. And yeah, I really thought it felt for the first time like K-Mac was like, this is my team. I'm going to take over this game. And I want to see that from her on a regular basis, especially in the playoffs, even with Silback, even with Layback. I mean, she can be so incredible when she's feeling herself, and I love to see that.
Well, the thing I was going to say is watching that game, I agree with everything you said. The notes, right? Like I was smelling a fine wine. The notes I was getting was I was seeing K-Mac play like a Finals MVP, and I realized that's a big statement to make. I'm not even shorthanding that statement, but it looked like she was one of those players where shout out to Emma Mieseman, shout out to I'm trying to think of who else has won MVP.
But these players that have really like taken these moments, even though yeah, I mean, just like players who have really seized the moment in the finals and taken over, and did the next man up thing, did the this is a big game and I'm going to hone in and I'm going to kick ass thing, and I mean, K-Mac has that spark.
She has that spark. She went 7 for 7 from the free throw line, an impeccable free throw shooter.
That's her job.
Yeah, and that's so important to have that player that you can do it. And also for somebody like her who needs those confidence boosts every once in a while, I think it's so underrated. The thing I like about her attacking the basket with the confidence and aggression that she is a shooter. If a shooter's not hitting their shots, the best thing you can do is get to the free throw line. That's practice reps. That's free points. So her having that ability to do it, and obviously, to seal the game late in the game is just the clutchness gene she definitely has. But that's what I was seeing. Watching this game, I was seeing a Minnesota Lynx team that was playing much more playoff style basketball. And when I say playoff style
Yeah.
basketball, talked about it with Myles in the game about, or the episode about the Connecticut Sun. You slow the game down a little bit. Option 1 is closed off. Sill's gone. Option 2 is closed off. Fee had a good game, but honestly, struggled early on in the game and really had to fight through.
She got going in the second more.
She got going in the
second.
And
they needed it. They absolutely needed it. It was the separating factor, and it was great. Yeah.
The rebounds. Talk to me about Fee's rebounding.
Oh, well, that was amazing. She played center pretty much for a lot of this game. She did tip off at the start of the game over Nat. And yeah, she was the go-to rebounder, the go-to option in the post on both ends of the floor. 14 rebounds. I think it's her career high. I think she's hit it 3 times, twice this season, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I sound like a broken record, but when I spoke to Fee after the game, she was just hammered home the idea that she knew Sill was out. She knew that they couldn't afford to let any rebounds get loose because Sill's not there to clean up after them. Was kind of the way she put it. So yeah, there was definitely a fire and a just decisiveness on the boards from Fee that was really, she chased them down. She set her mind to getting a board and she got it. And yeah, it was amazing.
I was just going to say, there was a couple times, I don't know if you saw these plays, there's 2 specific plays that I'm closing my eyes and I can see them, where she got a hustle play, get the rebound, and she thought they're I think one of them, Sabrina, went for a block, missed it, and then Fee was just standing there is nobody else going to play defense on me? Easy layup.
She really relishes in those moments where it's just oh, okay, you're going to underestimate me? Let's see how that goes.
Yep.
Yeah, she loves that.
Yeah, no, it was just amazing. Let's flip it onto the other side and bring on the other guest of our show, Myles Ehrlich. Sorry if you hate that when I do that. I apologize. I just can't not do a pirate accent. It's out of my system. Myles, talk to me on the flip side. The New York Liberty, they're now 11 and 15 going into the game, 5 and 8 away. Just a tough little situation for them as they're really starting to flow. Obviously, there's positives, there's highlights. Natasha Howard really not having the same game that she had last time against Minnesota, but really starting more and more so to get her footing with this team. And we starting to see, how scary they can be with the different lineups they have. Talk to me about the New York Liberty, that Seafoam season, Myles.
It's obviously been a tough stretch. And again, thank you for having me again. But it's been a tough stretch lately. But Natasha Howard is just trying in real time to make up for all of the reps that she's missed throughout most of the season due to first showing up late, then being back for 2 games, and then having an injury that cost her the next several months. So she's trying in real time without a lot of practice reps to get the game speed back under her. And we see there's been a lot of talk in these pressers about just her being sped up. And there were some plays last night where you see she'll make these 95-cent moves with 5-cent finishes where it's just these great plays, and then she gets too far under the basket, or she's just kind of lost out there. But the athleticism is there, and the team is so much more dynamic when she's a threat to score inside. And we didn't see it quite as much this time as we saw the last matchup with the Lynx when she did put up those 30 points, but just her versatility at all 3 levels and what she gives them defensively, which has been a real struggle for New York this season. So Natasha Howard is going to be huge for anything that they can do going forward. But we saw last night when this team doesn't have their shots falling, it's so difficult for them to win games because they came into this game knowing there was going to be no Sill, knowing there was going to be no Leja. So that was a big problem for them the first several matchups. And having no Sill inside meant that they should be attacking more. They should be getting more to the rim. But instead, they were often settling for these outside shots. And last night, they just weren't falling. And a lot of that is credit to this blitzing Lynx defense, because the scouting report is out on the Liberty. the primary ball handlers, Banaja Laney and Sabrina Ionescu, really, really struggle when there's pressure up in their face. And the Lynx were picking it up full court. They were harassing them all the way through, sometimes to their detriment because they would get into a lot of foul trouble and then make silly fouls at half court that would give the Liberty a couple of freebies to stay close. But this team needs to have another dynamic for when those outside shots aren't falling. And last night we just could not see frequently enough, because even when you shed the double team and you make the right pass, it's just this just like overwhelming side effect of this smothering defense is even when you get the open look, you're afraid of the closeout, you're afraid of the rotation, and they were missing a lot of shots that they shouldn't have been. And it's exhausting to try to play through and find those opening shots. So that was a huge credit to the Lynx's defense, but a detriment to New York that when they were getting those openings, they weren't able to take it to the rim for easier looks than some of the shots that they took and missed.
On a positive note. No, sorry, go Dan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, dovetailing on that with the point on the perimeter defense from the Lynx. Obviously, a ton of the offense is run through Sil and Laisha. Like, I think the Lynx depend on assists for 50% of their threes, and then 50% of the offense overall is run through the post. So this was a game that they knew coming in that they had to win on defense. And I think that, you look at the Liberty's limited production from three, and that is part of what tells the story of this game, is that the Lynx came out, defended super hard, made the Liberty question even when they took an open three, their ability to make it, and just kind of forced the issue.
And turnovers. I feel like a broken record, but turnovers now, granted, the Lynx had more turnovers than Liberty in this game, but the amount of turnovers, got to give credit to Nigel Laney, 0 turnovers this game. Sabrina, though, 5.
And a lot of them in that third quarter. A lot of them was and they were not good turnovers. There was an 8-second violation where she was talking to the coaching staff. So who should be on top of that, right? Like, the players on the court should all know it. The coaching staff should all know it. But it was just a lackadaisical turnover and just a couple of passes. And what they've done better in the second half is there have actually been fewer live ball turnovers, because that was a huge problem that they had. They're last in the league. Last I saw, I think it was close to 17 turnovers a game for the Liberty. So they're last in the league in turnovers. But what was happening a lot was these runs out of nowhere where they'd be in a close game and then they'd just throw the ball at each other's feet 5 times in a row. And the next thing you know, they're down by 12, 14 points and the game's over just like that. So the live ball turnovers are really, really bad. But last night, it's just they came in spurts and they came at bad times. And that's where the lead opened up for the Lynx. And the Liberty, to their credit, hung around, but that was a lot of the Lynx also missed a lot of shots. Both of these teams missed a lot of shots last night, which led to like really large rebound totals. You talked a little bit on the Lynx side, but 4 out of the 5 Liberty starters had at least 7 rebounds last night. And shout out to Michaela Onyenwede, who had her first 10 rebound game and her first career double-double.
Future Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is random, doesn't have to do with this game. Is there any, like, I guess Defense Player of the Year is the obvious one, but, like, is there any individual award that is so highly, I get six women? What's the most highly contested one right now?
I think it is Defensive Player might be the most highly contested, even though it's really, I don't know, like a 3 or 4 person race. MVP feels settled. Although I don't know. I'm not a voter. I don't know. I do think that it's 6 women or Defensive Player. And then I think that the really, really fun race is going to be Coach of the Year in my eyes. An executive.
Ooh. Yeah. Myles, what do you think?
I'm with you guys on Defensive Player of the Year just because, and we talked a little bit on the Sun Mystics portion, but it's also just so difficult to...
Shout out to Sil. That's all I really have to say about it. We've all heard the arguments. Shout out to Sil in the Defensive Player of the Year race. We all know.
It's so difficult to grade defense. I think that's what it comes back to, where it's just defense can happen in so many different ways. So when you're looking at the flashy Brittany Sykes steals and layups, or you're looking at Syl just sitting in the paint and just blocking 3 shots, but she's also getting a steal a game, or the athleticism of JJ that we talked about.
She's getting like 1.9 a game, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to talk, while we're talking defense, though, I do want to shout out Rebecca Allen, who has been phenomenal this season. And
Okay,
over her last...
wait. This is perfect because I have this in my notes. Both of you know the Liberty much better than I. Not even going to front. 8 starts this season? Just 8?
Yeah,
Come on, man.
I'm with you.
So
she's great.
A lot of the reasoning for that is she came late. She came over late due to overseas. So
Right.
I think that had she had a full training camp, Beck probably would have started at the 4 over Michaela. But then she was in for a little bit. She got hurt again. So she was out with plantar fasciitis ahead of leaving early for the Olympics, and then came back. She didn't start. She only started in those games where Sabrina sat earlier in the first half, and now with Sammy being banged up, she started some games there. But I'm with you. What she brings to this team defensively is unlike anyone else. So I'll throw some stats at you just quick, but over her last 6 games, she has 14 steals and 12 blocks. So that's 2.3 steals a game, 2.0 blocks a game. And then on the season, in just 23 and a half minutes per game, she's averaging 1.8 steals and 1.3 blocks. So she's 4th in steals, and no one else in the top 15 is under 25 minutes a game. And she's 9th in blocks. She's cracked the top 10 in both. And it's just, she's won them 2 games on the defensive end. There was the Phoenix game, which was remembered for a lot of different reasons, but at the very end, New York was up by 2 and Phoenix had a chance, and Rebecca Allen jumped the pass lane and got the ball away from Skylar Diggins-Smith. And then there was that 25th anniversary game against the Sparks where on back-to-back possessions, she blocked 3-point attempts to seal
That
the win
was
for the Liberty.
so fun.
That was nasty.
So,
That was an
Beck
amazing
Allen's,
run. Yeah.
Her defense doesn't get talked about enough. And
No.
obviously she doesn't have the minutes to be in that Defensive Player of the Year conversation. But all defense, I think she deserves consideration for what she's done, especially in the limited minutes.
Do you think that Beck should be in the 6th Woman of the Year race? Just for her defense?
I mean, she's also... She's less efficient
Wait,
than she
real
has
quick,
been recently.
Who are your top 6 Women of the Years right now, both of you?
Quigley is at the top for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that could change if she starts every single game going forward, but I don't even know if that matters because she's already come off the bench for so many of them. And then Kelsey Plum, Andy, Erica Hamby, honestly, like,
Fair, yeah.
either.
Yeah, I agree with those takes. I feel like Hamby and Plum might split some votes just because they're on the same team. Mabry started hot, but fell off a lot due to her usage, which was out of her control.
Same conversation for her and the most improved. Yeah.
If Aryeh Quigley is eligible this season, then it's her reward to lose, I think.
Yeah,
all set. Any final thoughts on this game from either of you before we say our goodbyes? The one thing I do want to say, I want to point out, is New York Liberty, currently 8th seed in the playoff hunt, according to the league standings, which obviously are slightly off. But the very interesting aspect of that is the Minnesota Lynx, on the other side of it, being 16-9, or I guess 17-9 now. Really, I tweeted this out last night. Lynx, not out there to say that they win out. They win out. They could very well be looking at a top 2 seed, just considering who they play, and like we've talked about, the Jenga-like fashion of what will happen if you pull off a victory here. That means that team has to lose, and so on and so forth. Myles will go down the audio file line. So Myles first, and then Dani. Any final thoughts on either of these teams?
I was just going to say what you said, that even with these injuries, I still see a path to a top 3 seed for the Lynx.
Myles?
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in and say the Liberty, it's a huge loss last night, obviously. They've got 4 games left.
Huge.
2 of them are against the Storm and the Sun. And then they've got the Wings and the Mystics, and both of those will be teams trying to play for that 7 and 8 seed. For the Liberty, what they need to do is they need to play through Banaj Eleni a little bit more. In their wins, she averages 21 points on 53% shooting. In their losses, just 15 points on 40%. So as she goes, the Liberty go. So they just need to do whatever they can to get her more involved early and attacking the basket, because that really sets up her confidence, but it also opens up her mid-range game. And we've seen her scoring dip every month since her hot start.
I love this info. I love having you both on talking WNBA. It's been my pleasure. Honored.
Yeah, really nice to meet
chat.
you, Myles.
This is a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
Reminder, Winsidr is your one-stop shop for all your WNBA news and conversation. But we can't do it without your help. Become a subscriber at patreon.com/Winsidr. For just a few dollars a month, you can help grow the game.